right, it's good.
All right, good evening and welcome to Fort Mitchell City Council. I'm Mayor Jude Heeman. Today is June the 15th and we're having our scheduled council meeting to discuss several ordinances, including our budget and amended budget. And so in order to take and call roll, I'm just going to check everybody's sound and make sure that they can hear us and repeat back. So Mr. Polgears.
Present.
All right. Ms. Knockhazel,
Here.
Mr. McVeigh,
Here.
Ms. Berger,
Here.
Who'd you say?
Who'd you call, Jude?
Mr. Steckel, am I pausing?
Present.
All right, Mr. Dethridge
Here.
and Ms. Burns.
Here.
All right, Amy, everybody can hear and they are present. So let's go on to the next. I just need a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Ms. Berger, second, Ms. Knockhazel, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone oppose? All right, motion carries. Approval of the minutes of June the 1st, 2020.
Motion to
Motion
approve.
to approve.
Mr. Dethridge, second, Mr. Polgears, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone that opposes? Hearing none, motion carries. Chief, was there anybody that signed up for citizens and guests? All right, hearing none, we'll go directly to the city attorney's report. Claire, you're on.
Okay, so we have ordinance 2020-02. It's a second reading. And this is an ordinance amending ordinance 2018-11 of the City of Fort Mitchell Code of Ordinances to add an employee position and related annual and hourly salary ranges and adjust the hourly salary range for a position to the personnel and pay classification plans, and directing this ordinance be published by summary.
Council, during the first reading, we answered all the questions, I believe, from the changes and increased the scales. Anybody else have any additional questions or concerns? Motion to carry forward.
Second.
Move to approve.
Ms. Burns is the
Second it.
first, and second, Mr. Steckel. And Amy, since it's an ordinance, would you do roll call?
Ms. Berger,
Yes.
Ms. Burns,
Yes.
Mr. Dethridge,
Yes.
Mr. McVeigh,
Yes.
Knockhazel,
Yes.
Mr. Polgears,
Yes.
Mr. Steckel.
Yes.
All right.
Claire?
Okay, so next we have ordinance 2020-03, which is also a second reading. It is an ordinance of the City of Fort Mitchell, Kentucky, amending the annual budget of the city for the fiscal year July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020, and directing this ordinance be published by summary.
Amy, is there anything that we need to know about as far as with the amended changes from the first?
We didn't make any changes.
Okay. A motion to approve,
Motion.
Mr. Dethridge,
Second.
second, Ms. Berger.
I'll second.
Is there any questions? Amy, would you do roll?
Ms. Berger,
Yes.
Ms. Burns,
Yes.
Mr. Dethridge,
Yes.
Mr. McVeigh,
Yes.
Mrs. Knockhazel,
Yes.
Mr. Polgears,
Yes.
and Mr. Steckel.
Yes.
Motion carries. Claire?
Yes, so we have the last one, which is ordinance 2020-04, again, a second reading. And this is an ordinance of the City of Fort Mitchell, Kentucky, adopting an annual budget for the fiscal year July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of the city, directing this ordinance to be published by summary.
Claire, not to change anything at this late hour or anything else, but one of the things it looks like, and we're going to go through this with the resolution, that we're going to be getting some CARES money. We don't have the exact amount. So just to reiterate with the council is once that money is received and we know the exact amount, we will just have to change our amended budget to reflect that new incoming revenue, correct?
Yes, you can amend the budget once it is adopted. If you don't adopt your annual budget, you can't go back and amend and do anything. You have to use last year's budget, but you
Right.
can amend subsequent to adopting this budget for the year.
I just think it's important for council because what we're going to do next is I'm asking you to pass a resolution that's actually going to force us to eventually amend our budget in a good way. And I just wanted to make sure that we discuss that. So motion, any questions with that?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Polgears,
Second.
second, Mr. Dethridge. Amy, would you do roll?
Mrs. Berger,
Yes.
Ms. Burns,
Yes.
Mr. Dethridge,
Yes.
Mr. McVeigh,
Yes.
Mrs. Knockhazel,
Yes.
Mr. Polgiers, Mr. Polgiers.
Oh, he's on.
Yes. Yes. Can
Okay,
you hear me? Yes.
you froze.
Okay.
Mr. Steckel.
Yes.
Okay,
Motion carries. All right, thank you all. Claire, we have one more, and so I kind of alluded to it before, but I just real quick, a high level from the governor's office. Mark Williams said, "Congratulations, Mayor. Attached is your approval level letter for the Fort Mitchell CRF, which is Coronavirus Relief Fund application. Sign the second page and return the signed letter. And including in this, you'll need to have the resolution." So this is the resolution that corresponds to the letter that I got from the governor's office. And doing that, this Corona Relief Fund, we actually applied. It took us two times to go through. Is that right, Andrew? That we had to redo it, and this is really offsetting our police and our fire payroll. We don't have an amount. They did not disclose an amount. At this point, we preliminary, Amy, we kind of have an idea of what we think we're going to be getting, but I will let you know as soon as that happens. But this resolution, when Claire reads it, is what's going to be necessary in order for them to finish that.
Jude, when you all applied for this, I assume you probably had to give them a list of certain expenses and whatnot that were impacted by COVID-19.
We did, and they kind of had us originally reach for the stars a little bit, really think out of the box. But what they zeroed this back into is really just the salary of what it took
Okay.
during COVID.
Okay.
Amy put a lot of work into this, and we went through all of our expenses related to coronavirus, and Amy looked extensively through the grants a bit, and we really, I guess, would say, took a conservative approach initially, based on these are all the things that we can tie into it. One of the interesting quirks of the grant was that there was an allowance for police and fire payroll, not just overtime, but payroll. And ultimately, in some discussions with DLG staff, that seemed to be where we would focus our grant application. So that's where the reapplication came into play. And part of that is we think that some of the other things like overtime and PPE supplies and that there may be opportunities elsewhere potentially for reimbursement on those.
Sounds good.
Mary, you want to do a reading?
Okay, we have resolution 2020-08. This is adopting a resolution of the city of Fort Mitchell authorizing the filing of a Coronavirus Relief Fund application for reimbursement of incurred expenses and CRF funds with the Department for Local Government, authorizing and directing the mayor to execute any documents which are deemed necessary by DLG to reimburse city, and authorizing the mayor to act as the authorized correspondent for reimbursement.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I'll
Second.
second.
Second, Mr. Polgiers, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone
Aye.
opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Under the mayor's report, just to follow up with that, Andrew, I think there's other grants and other applications that we've done through the police and the fire. Is that correct? On top of this, that we haven't heard anything yet, but there's additional monies that we're hopeful for.
That's correct. And to this point, although we filed the preliminary paperwork for what would come, if anything, from FEMA, there's no discussion of what would come from FEMA in the future. So at this point, I think there's 3 coronavirus related grants we've applied for.
All right. And then the executive order that I have in there for surplus property. Adam, do you want to, I think this is from you.
It is. It's an old light bar that's been on multiple city vehicles that we no longer have a use for. It's been here for quite a few years.
And it's directing us to give it to Pendleton County. Is that right?
Yes, Northern Pendleton.
And they're going to use it.
Yes. On one of their apparatus that currently does not have a light bar that works.
Since it is surplus, I would need an emotion to approve that.
Motion to approve.
Burns,
Second it.
second, Mr. Steckel, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So that surplus property, Adam, go ahead and I will authorize that with an executive order. Andrew, do you have anything for city administrators report?
The only heads up I was going to give is that we will have for the next meeting, the fire service contract with Lakeside Park. Other than that, we're kind of, it's the last week or so, or prior to last week, was a lot of focus on the demonstration, and then we had last week our IT bids and phone bids. So we're working on those.
Yeah, and we do plan on meeting in person in July. So as that comes with the rules and regulations and stuff, we'll be in contact, but we do plan on July's meeting being in person. Comments from council? No comments? All right.
Quiet group.
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second by Mr. Polgiers, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.